Lewis Hamilton's decision to leave McLaren and join Mercedes at the end of 2012 has turned out to be a brilliant move for the British driver. Since then, he has won an additional 6 World Championships with Mercedes, in addition to his initial title in 2008, bringing his total to 7. Nevertheless, securing an 8th championship is proving to be a significant challenge for Hamilton. The 2023 F1 season marks the second consecutive campaign where Mercedes appears to lack what it takes for Hamilton to go home with the title. So what's the next move for Lewis? Let's hear what the experts have to say. Stay tuned. Eddie Jordan, former F1 team boss, believes that it is now the right moment for Lewis Hamilton to replicate his departure from McLaren and seek new horizons by leaving Mercedes. Jordan suggests that Hamilton, who has not yet signed a contract extension with Mercedes beyond 2023, should take the plunge once more and reinvent himself outside the confines of the Mercedes team. Speaking on the Formula for Success podcast, Jordan expressed his thoughts on the matter. He said, "My only concern is that Lewis has to find something else in his mojo now, and he needs to get out of there. He needs to move on just like he did when he was with McLaren. Get out of Mercedes, Lewis. It's time you reinvented yourself somewhere else." Despite the current indications pointing towards Lewis Hamilton extending his tenure with Mercedes, there is a sense that when he eventually decides to retire from Formula 1, the team already has a potential future star in George Russell. Russell, who started his F1 career with 3 seasons at Williams while being associated with the Mercedes Junior program, has made a strong impression since joining Mercedes for the 2022 season. Notably, he currently holds a 4-1 qualifying record against Hamilton in the 2023 F1 season. Eddie Jordan acknowledges that Russell is defying his expectations while in a Mercedes car and continues to perform admirably alongside Hamilton, saying, "I got it wrong with George. I saw him in the Williams and I thought, are they really going to sign him? Is that really what's going to happen? He absolutely blew me away. He did. And full marks, hands up, I got that wrong. I never thought he would do what he's doing, and I never thought that he would be beating Lewis." Despite facing ongoing challenges at Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton has received a vote of confidence from Mario Andretti. Andretti believes that Hamilton is not past his prime, despite recent struggles, and suggests that the British driver is simply adapting to the task of completing without having one of the fastest cars on the grid. George Russell, in the meantime, has been leading Mercedes' efforts this season, and was even allowed to overtake Hamilton during the Miami Grand Prix. This has sparked discussions about the team's hierarchy and the dynamics between the drivers. Hamilton's recent struggles have ignited significant speculation about his future and whether he will continue to play a subordinate role to his teammate. Nevertheless, Mario Andretti, the 1978 Formula 1 world champion, believes that many are underestimating the capabilities of the 7-time world champion. In an interview, Andretti shared his perspective by saying, "I don't think Hamilton is past his peak. But the difference between him and George Russell is that Russell has never driven a car that is as competitive as the Mercedes, and Lewis Hamilton has never driven a car that's as uncompetitive as Mercedes is at the moment. Lewis has always had the blessing of being with an extremely competitive car. Look at the McLaren times. When McLaren was at its peak, there he was. Now he has to fight a little bit harder to achieve what was easier to achieve. So he's having a tough time just really getting the last bit out of it. Whereas George has never really experienced a car just as strong that's still able to run up front. So there's the difference. You can draw your own conclusions, but I wouldn't write off Lewis by any means at this stage." There has been speculation suggesting that Hamilton might consider retiring from Formula 1 when his contract with Mercedes comes to an end, instead of signing a new deal or switching teams. However, Andretti emphasizes the importance of Hamilton thoroughly contemplating this decision. He further stated that, "Here's my fear. I had seen some of my peers overstay, and maybe have not the best memories of their last times in the sport. I was really trying to, in my own mind, ask, when is it time? I don't want to, but, I wanted to have a positive memory of my last moments, my last seasons in the sport, and to know that I was still competitive and I still had a chance. It's a personal thing, just how you look at it. From Lewis's standpoint, I'm sure that he would love to have another championship under his belt and then say goodbye. Whether that's in the cards or not, I don't know. You can say, yeah, you should do this, you should do that, but it's up to the individual to see how you're looking at things and how you feel and all that." Lewis Hamilton's comparatively less experienced teammate, George Russell, is outperforming him. This is an unusual occurrence for Hamilton, and as a result, he has faced criticism for his relatively inferior performances. However, F1 expert Peter Windsor argues that people are being overly critical of Hamilton, suggesting that they are not taking into account certain factors or circumstances that may be influencing his performance. On his YouTube channel, Windsor went on to say, "I think we should give Lewis a little bit of slack. I mean, 7-time world champion, been racing in Formula 1 since 2007. He's right there in the mix. Maybe he gives a tenth more than George. I think race pace-wise, he's right there." Windsor also highlights that Hamilton compensates for any slight deficit in lap time compared to his teammate by excelling in other areas. He excels at managing the car and handling complex variables that arise during the race, which other drivers often find challenging to navigate. Windsor suggests that Hamilton's ability to excel in these aspects sets him apart and contributes to his overall success, even if his raw pace may occasionally appear slightly slower compared to his teammate. Windsor acknowledges that Lewis Hamilton, as a seasoned veteran of the sport, will eventually experience a decline, as is the case with every long-standing competitor. He recognizes that the 7-time world champion cannot continue indefinitely at the same level. According to Windsor's analysis, regardless of Mercedes' recent performance, George Russell would have always posed a challenge for Hamilton. He further compliments Hamilton for his ability to stay competitive and perform well in the midst of the younger generation of drivers. Windsor also believes that if Mercedes had been in contention for the championship, Hamilton's racecraft and performance might have been even better. However, despite the challenges, Hamilton is still fulfilling Mercedes' objectives for this year. It's worth noting that the 38-year-old driver achieved Mercedes' first podium finish of the season, highlighting his contributions to the team's success. In Windsor's view, fans should not overly scrutinize Hamilton for having a narrow margin against his teammate. He argues that Hamilton has already achieved everything in his career, while Russell still needs to establish himself as the next big thing in Formula 1. As Hamilton is driving a car that is not currently competing for victories, there is no need for him to prove anything. Windsor suggests that if Mercedes were in direct competition with Red Bull, the circumstances might be different. However, given the present situation, he believes it is unfair to question Hamilton's performance in such a manner. Hamilton has emphasized that the current Mercedes car does not align with his driving style. During the Miami Grand Prix, he went as far as expressing to the media his impatience for the Imola upgrades, which are anticipated to alleviate some of Mercedes' difficulties. Will this future upgrade turn their luck around, or will it drive Lewis further away? Tell us your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell for the hottest F1 news.